Here's how I created this sculpted glam look on Bin 2. I'm using a cream brown eyeshadow that's really rich and chocolatey. This is the base to the smoky eye, and this is going to be my transition with the black that I'm going to use over top of this. Once that's blended, I use a black cream shadow to even further sculpt the eye. Then setting that black cream shadow with a black eyeshadow powder, blending that right over the eyelid so it diffuses beautifully into the brown cream. Then applying the black eyeliner along the lash line on the top and the bottom. And then using a smaller brush to help diffuse that out, then hopping into color correcting. I'm applying this color corrector underneath the eyes, around the mouth, and on the chin. This helps not only cancel any darkness, but it also helps when I apply product over top later on in powder or cream or liquid that nothing turns ashy. Once I've blended out any hard lines of the corrector, I then start with foundation. I always start with the darkest shade of foundation on the outer perimeters of the face, and then the lighter shade in the center. The lighter shade is going to be closest to Bin 2's center of her face. On all my clients, I love to use different shades of foundation because it really helps sculpt the skin, but especially with deeper complexions, it's really nice to add a lot of depth and highlight to the skin using foundation because it adds so much richness to the skin. Now that the foundation's applied, I'm using a concealer to help further cover any areas that the foundation did not cover. Now for sculpting, I'm using a really rich, deep chocolate shade, and I'm just using this on the outer parts of the face and sculpting underneath Bin 2's cheekbones and shaping and sculpting her nose. Once the sculpting's complete, I like to brighten up the center of the face and anywhere to balance out the contour that I just created with a brighter concealer. And I do a very light layer because we have already concealed, but this is really just to help brighten and bring life to the face. Through the whole makeup process, I always use brushes, but then at the end, I'll use a beauty sponge to help further melt and blend everything together. Now hopping into powder, I used a powder puff to set Bin 2's entire face, and then going in with a baking powder, I'm helping brighten and support the highlights of the face. While the baking powder's on, I like to add blush, bronzer, contour, everything to help further structure the skin. Then heading back to the eyes, I'm just balancing out the smokiness from the top to the bottom lower lash line. Then adding a generous coat of mascara. Now we're heading into lips and starting with lip liner. The shade I'm using is a really dark, rich brown, so this is going to help sculpt and shape out Bin 2's lips. Following that, I'm using a hot chocolate brown rich tone in the center of the lips just to add a nice pouty nude lip, and then using a clear gloss over top to add a little bit of juiciness. And that is how I created this sculpted glam look on Bin 2. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and let me know in the comments what your biggest takeaway was.